Well, guys, if you watched last night's Duke Invitational, we saw that the Duke Blue Devils just absolutely destroyed the Kentucky Wildcats, and probably so, just because they have probably the top 3 guys in the NBA, like mock drafts, rankings, and all that stuff. But Peter, we're here to talk about it now. What did you think of last night's game? Duke Blue Devils, Kentucky Wildcats.
Well, I just said this to you off camera, but this is clearly the Golden State Warriors of the college basketball season this year.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, kind of like Duke and Kentucky kind of always are in that discussion of those two teams. But this year, certainly, like, they've become the Golden State Warriors, just absolute world-conquering players on every position. But it was amazing. I really don't like Duke. I'm a Syracuse fan. I think some of the people, the older fans, would know that from some of our older videos. But I don't like to root for Duke, but it's hard not to with these guys, like, just absolute monsters. I mean, what stuck out to you?
I think what stuck out to me was that a lot of people kind of categorize Zion Williamson. I think we'll probably talk about him more when we talk about the mock drafts and stuff like that. But what really surprised me is like his ability to read the floor. I know he played point guard when he was in high school, and that really helped a lot. But I was amazed at how many like beautiful passes he was making, able to shoot the jumper. Maybe not as well as, you know, a guy like Cameron Reddish or RJ Barrett, but at the same time, he still shot it at a decent clip. He does everything. He just reminds me of, and I know this is probably a cliche thing to say, he just reminds me of a young Charles Barkley. The way that he's able to attack the rim. You know, he's undersized for a big guy.
Yeah, it's like Charles Barkley and like Larry Johnson combined.
Just like that explosive leaping ability, but is undersized. I mean, they put like a 6'11" guy on him at one point. They put a guy, you know, about the same height as him. There was no stopping him. I mean, he just got whatever he wanted, and he did it efficiently as well.
The thing I thought the most too throughout the whole game is if there was ever like evidence that players should be able to go straight from high school to professional basketball, like just put that game on. Like some of those guys, like specifically Barrett, Reddish, and Williamson, like Zion, those guys don't need college basketball.
No.
Like not maybe mentally they might need it, but it didn't look like it, and certainly not physically. Like they're so much more ready than most people are.
Yeah, exactly. And now that the G League has done their thing where they're going to pay, I believe it was like $150,000. Yeah. So maybe if that rule was in place last year, maybe that's where they would have gone, or maybe they would have done the JBA route. The JBA kind of led to this stuff. I watched a video from High Roller that was basically saying that LeVar was right, and that's why the G League is now doing their thing. But that's neither here nor there. This Duke game just kind of goes to show you that how Duke is ranked number 4 in the country in the preseason is laughable, because they have the top 3 players from the nation. They brought them into the team. How are they not number 1? I know Kansas is good. I know Gonzaga is good. But Duke right now is on a different level.
The thing that was really surprising to me too was the pace that they played at was like the way that the NBA is being played this year. And I thought that was like I just thought it was really interesting, especially coming off of Duke last year, who kind of tended to play zone with Wendell Carter and Marvin Bagley. Yeah. Which was so slow and just kind of like just methodical and boring basketball. And I say this even as a Syracuse fan. I know that sounds super hypocritical, but like it was so fascinating to watch just this NBA college team go at it. Yeah. Like, it was like Coach K knew, I have professional basketball players on my team. I'm going to play like the New Orleans Pelicans or like the Nuggets or somebody, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing to watch the way that they were able to move up and down the court. Even when Kentucky switched to a 2-3 zone, they still couldn't stop them. But the real question is, I want to ask you, a lot of attention has been put on these 3 guys, Reddish, RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson. The mock drafts are starting to come out now. A lot of people, NBA scouts, are salivating at the mouth, wondering, how am I going to get this guy on my team? Hopefully we tank to get one of these 3 guys, because it's going to be a very top-heavy draft this year. Yeah. Who, in your opinion, is probably the number 1 pick?
In my opinion, I was ride or die for Luka this year, ride or die for RJ Barrett.
Ride or die for RJ Barrett.
I think RJ Barrett is the most complete player in this draft, and I say this, if Zion, I mean, he only shot 1 3 last night, but he actually made it too. It was a nice open shot, swish. But RJ Barrett, if he can shoot the way he shot last night, continue to improve his perimeter game, his 3-point efficiency, he's the most complete overall player. He's probably the best defender on their team already too, just as far as like his effort, his motor, he's always running. And then if you're watching the game too, just his dribble drive to the basket was unstoppable. Like there was nothing. And he's not as physically like, he's big, he's 6'7", super athletic. He's not Zion athletic. But I mean, just his feel for the game was super impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say RJ Barrett, but my problem with RJ Barrett, and I know this is probably going to make a lot of people angry, it's just the fact that last night he was very inefficient with his shooting. He shot about 23 times. He made 13 of them. Took a lot more shots. He's a little bit more selfish than the other two guys. I know Reddish is a little bit more reserved.
Yeah.
And, Zion is going to do his thing. But that, to me, watching that game, I think, in my opinion, the number one pick, it has to be Zion. Like, I know that a lot of people would probably say RJ Barrett because he's probably the most complete player, like you said, defensively, offensively. But with Zion Williamson, you get a guy that's high energy, high motor. You know what you're going to get every night. And depending on who's drafting him, even if it's the Atlanta Hawks, even if it's the Dallas Mavericks, I just feel like one of those teams, that maybe even the Washington Wizards even, I just feel that Zion Williamson has that motor that every coach dreams of having for their player. Just high energy, wants to get the ball in his hands, always wants it in his hands. And that's what I feel like Zion does each and every time he's on the court.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. And I'm going to say something about Zion that people are probably going to not like about my opinion, all right? And I have the same worry with Zion's game that, like, I feel like his career, there's a path where his career could mimic Blake Griffin's, all right? Where he's this super athletic freak of nature, just dominates people with his young legs, and then he hits this point in his career, like, he's not going to have the stand-up comedy career that Blake Griffin has. Like,
hopefully not.
I mean, there's a chance, but probably not. But I just feel like there's a path physically where his body deteriorates at a rate similar to Blake Griffin's, and he has to change his whole game, right? Whereas RJ Barrett is not like super reliant upon his athleticism to be skilled on the floor. Right. And I mean, people aren't gonna like that. You can't go wrong with Zion as the number one pick. I think it realistically depends on the team that has the number one pick. Like if Atlanta has the number one pick, I don't think they should take RJ Barrett. I think they should take Zion. Like, or Dallas for that matter, or even Washington too, like you said. Mm-hmm. Those teams should take Zion because they have a point guard, they have somebody who's ball dominant already. Whereas like a little self-effacing here, but like the Knicks, if they ended up with the number one pick, they don't really have a ball dominant player as of right now, like somebody who could take it up the floor, like RJ Barrett can, point forward kind of player. So, it really depends. We're not even talking about the third best player in the country is Cam Reddish.
Yeah.
Who realistically, if he just plays lights out for the rest of the season, could end up as the number one pick too.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron Reddish, I know before the college basketball season, I was really high on him because I thought his shooting ability was pretty good. The problem with him, though, is that he's just not aggressive.
Yeah.
He's very passive, and that's something that I know Coach K talked about a lot, and he's trying to get that out of him. Instead of being passive, being a little bit more aggressive. I mean, he shot about the same time, I believe, if I look at the stats correctly. Yeah, 14 times last night. I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting class. It's a good problem to have if you're Duke, having probably the top 3 number one picks, potentially, in the country. So it's really going to be an interesting watch to see who's going to really flourish, how this team's going to play. But one thing is for certain, we know that this team, it has to be a Final Four or bust. Even championship. It has to be championship game or bust.
Has to be. But, this is the kind of thing that, this is the reason college basketball shouldn't be a thing, right? Is because these guys are going to play at Duke for 3 months, 4 months, right? Depending on how far they make it in the tournament. And then they're just going to drop out of college and not play for 6 months, It's just such a waste of time, in my opinion. Because realistically, there's no way they shouldn't win.
Right.
So what's the point? It's almost like Alabama, like college football. Like, they're going to win. What's the point of playing against them? I feel that way. It's kind of a bummer, even though I'm really high on this team. I feel like the college basketball season is lost if these guys play as good as they should.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that they can play as good as they will, but what's interesting about college basketball than the other sports is that, I mean, I guess college football is the same way, but in the tournament, it's a one and done. There's no round robin. It's just you lose the game, you're out. And I believe that maybe one of these smaller teams could maybe do it, but it would have to be a 2-3 zone type of thing again. But it's going to be interesting to see what team can really stack up against this Duke team. I would love to see them go against the number one team right now, which is, I believe, Kansas.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them go against them. Even like a team like Gonzaga, which would be...
Virginia would be an interesting game.
Virginia would be interesting. I mean, this is just going to be Duke basketball against the field. That's basically what people are probably going to pick.
I really feel like they're going to go undefeated this year. I have this feeling. Didn't Kentucky go undefeated with AD? I feel like they went 31-0 or whatever it was and won the championship that year. I thought they did, but I feel like this is going to be one of those years. They just go undefeated. Nobody can stop them defensively. I mean, if it's like I said, Golden State, if Clay and Steph have a terrible night, but Durant has a great night, they're still probably going to win. And it's kind of the same way if Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett have a terrible night, but Zion has 35. Does it matter? Not really.
No. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. We're here to talk about Duke basketball. What do you guys think of the top 3 prospects? Cameron Reddish, RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson, I almost forgot his name. But anyway, guys, go and check out the rest of our videos here on the channel. And also, guys, go and hit the subscribe button if you're new. But anyway, guys, we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.